Hi, I'm Andrew Armstrong and welcome to the Back Office Teardown Lab. We have the KKmoon 47 amp DIY headphone amplifier kit, and I've already cut the bag. Look at that. Professional. You don't have to wait for any of those bag unbagging scenes. And it's not just that I've just made a video about this for someone else, but that's fine. We have the instructions for a change. We have a PCB, we have a case, we have absolutely everything here. And what's more important, we have a QR code. So if you want to play along at home, you have 5 seconds to scan your screen. 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's continue and get on with the build. So we're going to leave the casey stuff aside for now because it's a case. That's fine. We'll just deal with that at the end. In fact, these are so tedious to watch assembling and so tedious to assemble, I might just do a jump cut from when we've gone from the build, tested hopefully, to actually being cased. Because at the end of the day, who cares? Who cares about the wee case? Now look at this. I love this aspect of the instructions, that it actually has the value and the colours for somebody like me who has never learnt the colours, and I refuse to learn the colours. And if I have to do the colours, I'll use a multimeter or one of these gadgets which I've made a 3D printed case for that tells you what your thing is. But hopefully today we won't need that because we have everything written down in front of us. And I love this kit. Look at this already. I can tell you it's going to be a fun kit because it's just everything is cut out. Oh my word, look, they have actually marked those components out. Where did I get this kit? I'm going to put links down below. I think I got it from Amazon, but wow. I was commenting about how the Velleman kits were fantastic, but this is really an upped game kit. Whoever's making this kit, they really put some effort on it, and I'm not hating it. There looks to be a couple of surface mount components in it too. Yes, entry-level surface mount components was what we like. Right, soldering iron is on. Leaded solder today. Leaded solder is ready to go. And I do have, well, I think that's it. Side cutters, that's what you're going to need. Soldering iron, side cutters, and some solder. I don't think you're going to need any more. And where shall we start? Where shall we start? I think we're going to go for some resistors. And looking at the board, rather conveniently, they've even written on the board the values of everything, what you need. So we've got some 47R, that's 47 ohms. And I'm going to get rid of all of them in one go. So I'm going to place them down there. I'm going to use, if I can find it, there we go. Oh no, it's covered in resin. My power crazy Brian Jones component bender, but I'm going to have to give that a wipe. Because I had a tube of aldite sitting on the counter. I don't know if you've used epoxy resin, but it is obviously a bit nasty. And the lid wasn't on properly, and it did this thing where it just absolutely wormed its way everywhere across my bench. So what I'm doing now is just pulling random bits of glue roll. This isn't important, by the way, to the video. This is actually wasting your time, and you might want to heatsink compound. Might want to skip ahead, but you're just going to watch me wiping down some resin off something. That's fine, isn't it? It's real life at the end of the day. Okay, the resiny goodness is gone. This is probably why my camera is so knackered from touching resin and then touching the screen. So we're going to try it at its minimum bend and see if that's what we want. And where were we? These are the 47Rs. I'm going to poke it through from the top. Don't worry, I'll zoom in a moment. That is not good enough. You can see it's too wide. Is there any more settings on this? Suppose you could just try pushing it to the very end. And I like how I referred to that as a setting. Like, I'm wary of where to put this back now. Right, let's put it back in its pile of resin. I'm just going to have to go to manual here. It's like that Star Trek movie. Do you remember where? Oh, what was his name now? I can't believe I've forgotten the name of the character from Star Trek who fixes stuff, who's the engineer. He was like my favourite guy as well. Oh well, he's played by Simon Pegg now. But Scotty, when Scotty has to go to manual and he types in the formula to make transparent aluminium. Do you remember that? Or are you too young and hip to have watched all those ancient movies? I was having a think the other day about how at the time when we had all those movies, wasn't it weird how we thought they were so futuristic and how, wow, you can't get any better than this. The special effects in this are absolutely amazing. And I have to admit, I never felt that way about games consoles or computers back then, but certainly movies. It was just like, I remember watching Star Trek The Next Generation when I'd come home from school, and it's like, you know, that's it. We're there now. There's absolutely nothing. Encounter at Farpoint, done. There is nothing we can do to improve this. Now this PCB very nicely has these nice vias at the top, which are through-hole plated. I say vias, they're actually component tubes, I guess. But that's nice to us because I might solder them from the bottom, but it means we can solder from the top. So I've just used my little helping hands here, and I'm just applying that solder from the top. I've got one wonky component. That was the first one I tried where we didn't bend that right, but that's not a problem because I've got me archery forceps, and I'll just bend it like that. Boom! We can flip it round. Let's see the flow. We didn't get too much flow, but it's okay. We'll just zap it again from here. You know, it's good enough though. You don't have to. It's going to be fine. I've never heard of a resistor falling out. It would be absolutely fine, but seeing as you're in for the long haul, you're watching this video, and if you're a regular, then you're going to be in it for the long haul. I know there's only a few hundred of you actually who watch these on a regular basis, because my stats say so. And if you do watch regular and you want to disprove my stats, maybe hit that subscribe button or that like button, because YouTube says that 98% of my content isn't watched by subscribers, and that is pretty sad for me because it means I'm never going to get my YouTube badge. Right, so we've got that in there now, so we'll just put the 4.7Ks in, and sticky. My hands are sticky from that resin. I'm a little bit allergic to resin. I think I told you that before, and it was from fixing a fuel tank of all things. So if you have a rusty fuel tank in an old vintage vehicle, you can get a kit where you sluice something around the tank and it will turn that rust into something less rusty, you know, like the Cure Rusty type stuff. And then what you do is, once that's dried out, you mix up an epoxy resin into the tank and you literally brush it on every surface. If you can take the tank out, so in the case of a motorbike car repair, that's easy because a motorbike tank you can just take in your hand like a football and swish it round. But in this case it was a Land Rover, series Land Rover, an army one, fuel tank. So I had to put my hand right into that thing and just brush it onto every surface. And although I had gloves on, basically that resin is, I don't think it actually splashed me, but it might have. But it just reacted with my forearms and every part of my arm that had gone into that fuel tank, which was pretty much most of it. So you can imagine, I think my hand might have been okay actually. I think I looked like a glove, like where it's just like I had a sleeve on, a red, angry, rash-filled sleeve on my arm. And I can't remember what I did. I think I went to the doctors and they were like, whatever, here's some calamine, and it went away. But that's kind of the treatment really for most rashes and stuff that just suddenly appear and go away, hopefully. I guess if they didn't go away, then the doctor would probably maybe do more. I mean, what can you do though? A bit of antihistamines, don't put your hand there again. I mean, very tricky. So I'm always a bit wary of resin, but I have to admit, I haven't seen a reaction like that ever since, and I am pretty slapdash sometimes with the resining. Right, okay, so that's all of our through-hole components. We may have wished to put some surface mount components on by this point, but I think they're only headphone things. We won't have too much trouble with those. So we will continue on, I think, with the 10K resistors now. I do have to say, it's a fun kit so far. If it just works, that'll be even better. It's a bit of a shame though about the power supply requirement, but I can't think it'll need too much current, so you've got the opportunity to probably just use some battery packs wired up correctly in the appropriate way. There's the last 10k here. Let's lock that in place. Right, where are we? Soldering iron wasn't hot. There we go. Looks like we've just got the one. Or is it two? Two resistors left, the two 100Ks. Just thinking, it seems odd. You'd have to have an even number of everything on this. It's basically two separate circuits. That doesn't bother us. We're there. Then we get to play with, I think, the IC carriers. Generally, people recommend when you're assembling a kit to start with the lowest profile components first and then work your way around, but often, oh, it's turned pin, oh my gosh, often they might be using one of those boards where you have a piece of foam and you flip everything over, and that would definitely be defeated because the long components would prevent your short components from being compressed by the foam, and that would be bad. Now I'll tell you what turned pins are. Look at that. You see how it's this nice circular little bucket rather than the little springy clip. Now a lot of people don't like these because I think these are amazing. I mean, these are the best quality you can get, and once your chip's in, it's in. It's going to be in for life. But some people don't like them. Depends really if you intend on taking out the component you've just put in, I suppose. Oh no! Oh no! This is where that piece of foam would come in handy. And the irony is, I did have one. I'm going to take this to the edge of my board. You might hear it sliding back. There you go. And we're just going to tack one pin on each of those, stop them falling out while we finish those resistors. So, if you were on one of my patrons, you probably got to see the introduction video to this a little bit earlier, so may well have ordered yourself up one of these kits. So if you're playing along at home, please give a little shout down below and let me know if it's been possible to follow along. I never really know if people, I don't know, do you make these things, or do you just watch the video and vicariously make it, go, yeah, I don't actually have to make it now because I just seen someone else make it and it pretty much did what I was hoping it would do, or I was disappointed by it, and that's that. Because I think we spend a lot of time making kits, but I very rarely use a kit. Yeah, I've got a massive pile of made kits just gathering dust. I suspect I'm not alone in that. You're just making the kit for the sake of having something to do. I mean, it's like a model kit, isn't it, though? If you're making your Spitfire kit, that we used to do, Airfix kit, I mean, once you're done, you don't really use them. They're just there. They're like a display piece. Something you spent a bit of time on. Hopefully got right. Now I missed, speaking of getting right, I missed a whole 4 pins there, but that's easy to spot. It's fine. Now we're on to some capacitor action, hot capacitor action. I'm going to flip it over that way. Let's pop our clip back on. I like this thing, it's doing a good job today. So, long leg positive, we have our LED. We're going to pop that in, long leg positive. And we've got a bunch of capacitors here. Let's see, we have some very simple ceramic caps. I think I'm going to put those in. They're about the same height as the LED. So we're going by the height rule. So we've got our ceramic caps, we've got our LED. What else? We have a couple of small electrolytic caps which are 10 nanofarad, yeah, 10 microfarad, sorry, 10 microfarad, and they're going to go into these seats up here. And you've got to turn them around. Where you've got that line on them, see that line? That's the negative pin, it's the short pin. So if you don't have a very distinct long leg, just keep turning it around till you get that negative. That should be that. So whether or not we can flip them, that's the challenge right now. I'm going to use this piece of emery paper I happen to have just to support it. Yeah, that worked. Emery paper for the win. And I'm just going to do one component of each of these because I suspect they just moved in transit. So just do the one leg, depending on how many hands you've got, you can just flip them over and see, and you can see that cap is way higher than that cap. It's not sitting right, so I'm just going to push it through, and I'm going to square up those electrolytics a bit, and everything else is fine. It's not bad actually. I could have got away with that, no one would complain. Just continue on. Okay, put that round, and we're done. Snip those off. So the idea of an amplifier is you take an input at a certain voltage, a signal, and you output it at a certain voltage. It's that simple. It's called a gain, and that's a coefficient on the value. So if you had a gain of 1.5 and you had a value that comes in, it's like timesing it by 1.5, and it will, if you could, for every 1 volt in, you'll get 1.5 volts out. It's pretty much, that's what's going on. That's an amplifier in a nutshell. That's what we're making right now. Okay, I'm noticing this guy, that wants to go there. But let's save that. That's a nice little part. Let's get all the caps out of the way. And I would have probably suggested to do the surface mount components before then, but you know, okay, let's do them. You should probably do them first actually, because this one could be a little bit awkward if you're not used to it. But it's not a challenge. Don't worry if you haven't. Look, I'm just gonna pre-tin the hole, which is probably gonna bite me a little bit because there's these little tiny holes that it's got to lock into. But I'm doing it the worst way, and if it works for me in this way, because I'm pushing it on my finger, I'm just going to heat that pad that I put a blob on. Boom! Surface mount 101, and I'm actually using the camera now. I'm not using my eyes, I'm using the camera because it's at a weird angle, and I don't want to put my hair in the camera. Like you see that sometimes when I lean over and I see my hair in there, and that's when I've had a haircut. I haven't had a haircut for 3 months. It would be like a lion's mane. And if you don't want to do the tinning the pad process, here we go. We're just going to try to lock this one down. There's little holes. In fact, it doesn't really want to go in those holes anyway, to be honest. Sitting there. There you go. It's settled. I'm just going to apply from the edge. I want this to flow in because I don't want to touch it and disturb it. Look, it's easy. Surface mount is easy. There you go. Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. Good. When was the last time you heard anybody say that? Get your capacitors in. Oh, are they all different values? No, they're all the same. They look like they're all... Oh, no, there are. They are different values. So, you have here 470. So that's a 470. This one is a 220. Just go there. Now my first one may or may not be wrong depending on what value this one is. So this is a 420. except 470 rather, we're okay. And we are okay. Good. We're okay. We come out smelling like Millhouse. I'm going to just pop this one in here while I can because it's easy and I can actually just get to the pads enough to tack it in while we're here. Yeah, boy, look at that. And it's center positive, which is nice too, so that's good. Center negative is literally the worst, and I don't know why anybody ever thought center negative would have been a good idea. If you know the answer, actually just let me know down below, because there probably is a logical answer. And that's all 4 of those tacked in, and I'm not even going to check if they're seated. I feel the vibe. I feel actually that I'm going to just cut the legs and everything. I'm going to do it all and then see if they're seated properly. Let's go for that. Snap, 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 snap. He's getting through it. Nice and clear. Let's take these off. Whoa, watch my camera lens. If you see a crack on the screen, whoa, that was crazy. That'll take your eye out. Close your eyes when you're doing that. There you go. I like to tidy the ends sometimes if I trim something like that. Whoa, that's looking nice. And then, of course, oh yeah, that's good. That's a good fit. You can't beat that. This is exciting though. It's a shame again, as I said, it's not battery operated, and we'll have to make it batterified, because a headphone amp would have surely most utility for portable applications, though it could give us some significant gain. I mean, it's probably too much gain for most things though, but you never know if you use it as a little weird gain control on something. Right, that's the main body of it, and there's your knob goes on there. I think I've got these the right way around, just checking the footprint, and I'm just bending those little chip legs in so they've got a chance of getting in the holes. And say, you don't want to force it on these. They're not quite as compliant as the spring clip, but look, once you get them in, they're not going anywhere, and I'll show you that up close and personal on this next one. Don't you worry. Don't you worry, you'll be getting the front row seat at the IC show. Boom. Right. Okay, so I've got those back ones are all aligned in the hole. So then you end up with these front ones, you see where they're not quite in the dish, and I'm like, get in the dish, man. Get in the dish. And it's like I'm talking to my cereal. Get in the dish. And this is a really weird angle. I can't put the right pressure on. I'm just going to check. Hold it there. Hold it. Hold it. There you go. There you go. Oh, yeah. And that's ready to do this. Ready? Ready for the feel. In fact, you can watch it with me. Oh, yes. Ain't going anywhere. So I think what I'm going to do now then is work on the case, because it's going to be a real pain. But if you wanted to have a little look at this, how it's all laid out before it's in the case, just on the tip of my finger. Can we balance it? 2 fingers. There you go. I know I said I was going to skip the whole doing the case part, but no, if I've got to suffer, so have you. So let's take the board. I don't like what they've done with these standoffs. Look at that, they're all clipped together. That's not too bad. That could have been worse. I wonder why they did that. Are these actually laser cut as well? I think they just laser cut them all out the same plastic. So we've got a set of small screws, long screws, and 2 seemingly identical looking bases, so we can just go for any of those. And I guess I'm going to go for the long screw standoff. Sorry, long screw plastic standoff, and then the board combo on this. So we've got a lot of potential to go wrong. In fact, Oh, I don't know. Let's do it upside down first. Let's get your long screws in while it's upside down. Okay, and then I'm going to squeeze all 4 screws with all my different digits and flip that so it's like that. It feels like a magic trick, isn't it? And they've given you 5 standoffs actually, if you count them up. Seems they're being very generous with the spares. Okay, let's get in on this now. I'm going to pop the board on top. Then I'm going to take the metal standoff. Oh, now, oh, what a dingus. What I was just thinking was, let me just check this. No, I think I've got it right. I was just wondering to myself and worrying to myself that maybe those plastic parts are to act as a washer to stop these metal standoffs from eating through the PCB, but I don't think they are, and I'm just being very cautious to recapture. There we go, we managed to recapture those little plastic washer things that are in between this. Okay, good. That's not too bad, isn't it? Could do that all day. So we've got a front plate and I guess a back plate, and they've got different size holes and different hole orientations. It can only go a certain way. Oh, so potentially you can get this wrong. Maybe I have got this wrong. Let's see this way. No, you can. One of these is a top and one is a bottom. I'm feeling that now. That could be the case. Hang on. Right, those actually line up spectacularly well. Let's not panic. Let's not panic. Oh, I think we got away with it. Oh my word. Oh my word. I think that was a fluke, potentially. Let's hope the lid goes on it. Okay, that was a fluke. Let's just put this down now. Let's just, before our luck runs out, that was indeed a fluke. Maybe though, we might not have got away with it if this reveals otherwise. No, we have got away with it because there's a cutout here. See the little cutout? I'll show you in a moment. And that's to allow the volume knob to move. So, whoo-wee. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and tighten these up before we do anything, and then I'm going to show you that little potential gotcha. I'm just letting my heartbeat rather slow down again. My pulse is through the roof. That could have been a moment of acute and extreme stress. I'll just turn that around. Nice, 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 nice. All the nice. This is a lovely kit. Look at this case. It's decent quality. And I hope I have some rubber little feet somewhere. You know, a quick look. Yeah. Come on, Andrew. Leave the finishing touches to later. Okay. We're going to put our little nut on. And these nuts, of course, are normally to hold those components into the panels nice and tight. You don't need it so tight here. And in my experience, I've cracked the acrylic on many a thing by over tightening it, so don't. Just make sure it doesn't come loose. So I'm going to turn the volume all the way down, all the way up, and I'm just noting the position of the doodad here. So that's 180. It's about a 270 swing. So just to show you the marker on there, you could see it goes from there to there. I feel we want to go maybe like from that. Let's see. Ooh, he's done this before. He's played with a knob before, often his own. Very nice. So we've gone in on the back and then out on the front and a volume control. That is really cute. That could sit by your PC, no problemo. Now we need to test this, and I could test that with headphones, and you're not going to get the full effect, are you, if we do that? So I'm going to have to set up a rig. So bear with me. I shall be back momentarily. Just assembled all the different components I need. So I have a headphone lead here, which I'm going to plug into this already amplified pot noodle speaker that has a line in. I'm not sure whether or not you hear any sound on this if the amplifier is turned off, but it does have a volume control, so we should be able to hear the gain difference from this even if we have this turned off. I mean, it should be putting out plenty. So this is going to go into the front of our device here, which is that. I'm going to put this strategically this way around because I've got to get power to it. So that's how we're going to go. I've got my bench power supply here on the left. I'm just going to check that. We've got that set to 11.6 volts, which should be fine. So I'm going to plug that in there and make sure its lead doesn't drag everything off the table. This is why you need rubber feet on it. Look how it's sliding around. And then I'm going to plug the input, stereo input, into the DAC. And I just be careful with that. I just realised they've put the headphone sockets as surface mount. The only thing that you really don't want in a design to be surface mount, they've put as surface mount. So everything is now off to start with. Okay, so I'm going to put the volume. Leave that alone. That's off. Volume's off. No power to anything. Just the only thing's running is my inspiration engine, and we're going to tell it to play. Put the MP3 player on and play. Boom. So now it's playing some rock music, which is free rock music from YouTube, by the way. And there you go. It's Ethan Mexel, I want to say. Ethan Mexel's tune right now. So I'm going to put this. Play with this. Volume, nope. So I'm going to turn its amp on, its internal amp on this, and turn the volume up. And we're not hearing anything. So this thing is like clearly absorbing everything. So we're going to leave this back in off, volume minimum. And now I'm going to turn on power to this. And we have the power is going through, and it was flashing. The overcurrent was warning, it was flashing. We've got our blue LED, hooray! So if I turn this up, we're not hearing anything. So this probably needs to be on. So I'm going to turn this back on. Okay, so now it's volume. Actually, that's acting as a total volume control. This is on maximum, which is normally... Now that is a very handy byproduct. This is acting as a... On its low levels, it's attenuating. It's killing the volume, that's kind of cool. That's really neat. And then, so I'm going to put this on minimum, and this is now on maximum. And this has become very sensitive now. So you can see all the way down. So let's try like for like. I'm going to put this on a setting. Okay. Right, so you heard that. That was a normal listening level, I would say. So what I'm going to do now is plug this directly in to here. And we'll just see how that sounds. Play it again. So that's at the point of distortion. I'm going to plug this in now and see if we can take it beyond distortion, and then you know that this is doing the trick. Oh my word, yeah. I'm not sure if you're hearing that, but it's definitely doing the job. I like this a lot. I really do. This is going to be so handy for desktop speakers, just even as a volume control, like a preamp. Here's one more little test for you. We have some headphones here, just cheap and nasty ones, and they're on the maximum volume of this. I'm going to hold it up to the mic. You can see here, just in the corner, at that distance. So you may or may not have heard that. We're going to go through this. It's definitely doing something. It's definitely got the beans on it. So I'm going to hold this up there and turn it up. Ah, just as the song's ending. No. Okay, ready? Don't know if you can hear that. I could do some objective measurement, couldn't I? But you can hear that's quiet. All right, that's quiet. That's louder to the point of distortion, but it's adjustable. Good. So I hope that is really a little bit more enlightening on what this does and how it works. It's a bloody good thing, and I'm going to put a thing down below, a little link to it, and if you need one of these in your life, which clearly you do, a little amplifier which has a nice little volume control that also acts on the attenuating end of the scale, which is brilliant. So you can just use it as a... What I mean by that, by the way, it's not that this is one, 1-to-1 ratio and you're just increasing it. One volume is somewhere here, so you can actually go quieter, which is that's the difference. So yeah, please like, share, subscribe. Come chat to me on Discord. Give me a coffee on Patreon if you want. And as ever, thank you for watching. The finishing touch. Ooh, it's so sticky!